All right, Miss Brandi. Okay, so thank you first. Thank you so much for meeting with me. And I know that you've gone through a big portion of the course.
Yeah.
So I would love to hear some feedback. I know that other people are kind of waiting on the outside to be like, all right, let's see what other people get out of
Yeah.
this before I make, it's an investment for all of us, especially if we're just getting started in our agency. And I most certainly am not uh on the outskirts of that. I have made plenty of investments in online courses to get where I am. So I totally get that. So I would love your feedback on the course. I would love for your feedback to be honest and don't be afraid to be honest. And that adds even more value to the listener so they can actually gauge where that information is coming from. Okay.
Okay.
So before we begin, will you tell us in short a little bit about where your agency is and yeah, where are you at right now?
Well, I am joining Boomerang as someone who's already been a user of Go High Level for about a year, and that's how I was introduced to Boomerang. In general, my agency is very young in the sense that I've just been working with clients mostly that have been passed to me. I had a friend, someone that had helped me in years past with marketing, who was retiring and gave me some of their customers as they passed on, or well, as they moved on.
There you
And
go.
yeah, I hope she's not passing on.
No.
Um, but as she has moved on, and so I haven't been so much in the acquisition stage as I've been in the familiarizing myself with my tools. And that is something that's really important to me before I go out. I know a lot of people that have the recommendation of just jump in. Well, I'm the kind of person that I want to kind of have an at least some kind of understanding of what I'm doing. It makes me feel more confident when I present myself. So I'm in the early stages of Boomerang, and the reason I decided to go with Boomerang is because I have a lot of experience in the restaurant world in my life. And so it's a very comfortable space for me to begin. I have a lot of uh, connections in that area. I'm a foodie. I like to eat. And then not only do I see it for the restaurant world, but I just see the kind of loyalty program style as being really useful for a variety of businesses. And I think the price point can be accessible as an entryway opportunity for marketing. It's an easy way to introduce yourself as being valuable and having assets to share. And so that's what got me helped me to make the decision to commit into doing Boomerang.
Yeah. So you joined grow your agency with Boomerang Me. How many months ago was that? Do you remember?
I think I bought your course. I've had Boomerang for 2 months, I
Mhm.
believe. And I bought your course at the beginning or early April, I believe.
Mhm.
Yeah, so within a month, I saw it on the Facebook group and was certainly kind of dancing around with the idea. And I, like you, have invested in many, many, many courses over the years too, and particularly in the last year, to learn, to help myself kind of get a foundation for the tools that I'm using and even for ideas. And so w- the the Let's Dine Local course has been really refreshing.
Good.
Um, yeah, I can tell that you've created it from the lens of um, someone who is targeting newbies, and there is a difference. There's a big difference. There are so many courses that I've gotten in, and the conversation is, what do we call it when it's kind of nuanced language. You're talking language for people that are familiar with the tools or with the industry, and you've certainly brought it to a level that makes it accessible and familiar and comfortable. And that is really my hats off to you with that because it's important. when someone makes an investment like this, to have some kind of way to move into it that feels comfortable and accessible.
Wow, thank you for that compliment. So, what are your initial impressions of the course? Aside from that it is accessible, did it align with what your expectations were when you bought it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really unique. And that was fun to me. Like you have a unique approach.
Mhm.
And the idea of going in and creating relationship and approaching your community that way. Excuse me. Um, I really appreciate that. It's a lot more. It reminded me, I grew up in a small business home and my dad drills water wells and it's very hands-on and it's very handshake. And it reminded me of that. And I think a lot of people really miss that in our world. And so I thought it was so unique in approach. And especially when you're looking at working with local small businesses, I think it's a smart way to move in
Mhm.
your community is to be accessible. And it shows that you're going to be someone who's worth working with because you're willing to be there. I really liked it.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think you are spot on because they literally look me in the eye and tell me that that is the main difference on why
Yeah,
they didn't just ask me to leave the the restaurant.
yeah, absolutely.
I get compliments from the people I'm pitching to that my approach is what motivated them and sold them even more than the product sometimes. And yeah, so it's really cool. So which part of the course did you find most valuable and why, or what impact did that have on you?
Well, I love your checklists. I absolutely love them. I think they are priceless, really, because that is anytime something can be systemized, and just made into a repeatable process, it saves so many headaches and so many, just missed steps that you might have the best intentions and still, or maybe you've done it 20 times and you still can miss a step. And so I think your checklists are awesome. And I think I've been using the pitch deck a little bit. I've been tweaking it for myself,
Good.
um, but I really appreciate kind of the approach you took with it. And that's also a really valuable resource. I was actually digging in there this morning because I think you're always adding. I've noticed there's probably a little bit more in there since I was in it last and noticing some fun Canva templates and stuff. And I think all of that, anytime things can be um, made easier or quicker or anything, that just adds immense value. So I I like but for sure the checklists. I like those a lot.
I'm big on checklists too. And actually my right out of college, kind of my professional training, as you will, is more in operations management. So I'm very much minded in that way of being able to take a lot to organize it, and then have it be repeatable. I was in pharmaceutical research. My
Nice.
job was to take the big plan and organize it for others to understand and interpret. And so that part of me is very fulfilling. Like I love that part.
Well, great, because it is a real gift to give to other people. So that's a
Yeah.
huge asset. And it might be simple and easy to you, but it's just like spot on for people that are getting rolling with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you miss a lot of the errors that I got to enjoy.
Yep.
You get to miss a lot of those. So which part of the course did you oops, I read the wrong question. Let me repeat that. Did you encounter any challenges while you were kind of applying some of those strategies that were taught?
Well, I think it's more just, like like you were even mentioning, it's a comfort level, it's just learning how to get yourself out there and just do it over and over and over. And so I think that's more of where I've hit any, bumps in the road for myself is just getting in that rhythm
Mhm.
of reaching out over and over. I think it helps to start with the restaurants because, it's fun to go out and get a bite to eat and stuff.
Mhm.
That's a lot different. And it's a nice way to engage with the business. Like if I were doing some other business, might not necessarily want to go in and buy something that they have before I would even want to work with them.
Yep.
So I think that's the biggest bump I hit with it. But again, I appreciate your approach because it's really providing value, providing value, providing value, like giving, giving, giving. And I don't know if you do Alex Hermosi, but he talks about that a lot, where it's just like, just give. And when you are, it comes back. And so I think,
I'm finding it's coming back, sevenfold. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Especially when people in the public can see you giving, giving, giving publicly, not in a look at me, I'm giving kind of a
yeah,
way, but you are literally in the structure, you're giving in a way that is pointing the attention at somebody else.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. Can you describe a specific instance where, applying a technique from the course actually helped you acquire a new client? Have you gotten a new client yet or gotten the opportunity to sit with someone?
I have had the opportunity to sit with someone. I probably will be doing a little bit more than Boomerang for them if we sign together.
Mhm.
Um, but I went in for like an introductory kind of like meeting with them, and then I'll be doing more of the pitch next week. But what I did use is a lot of your discovery questions. And I liked the angle, and I know this, but having some to really chew on before I went in and think about, having the really open-ended questions helped me to honestly present to the customer that I'm thinking really big about their business. Like that my interest was fully in understanding what they were doing
Mhm.
so that I could work from where they're at and work off of the resources they have. And so I felt that was really well guided and a good asset to utilize.
Do you notice? So have you gone and actually had those type of meetings in your past
Yes.
with different discovery questions? I'm going to guess. Was
Yeah.
there a difference in how those questions were received?
Yes, absolutely. And it is, as you emphasized in your training, that if you're not comfortable, if you haven't practiced doing open-ended questions, it so quickly goes to a yes or no question, and you don't get anywhere in
Mhm.
the interview. I mean, you do kind of, but you end up making more assumptions. I found, like I would have to be assuming that we were understanding one another, or speaking the same language instead of having the opportunity to really dig in and really get clear about what the customer was doing. And yes, in the past, in the early stages, I didn't have that skill set very much, and it's still one that I'm working on for sure. Um, but yeah, very different. And I could tell that this guy was impressed by the questions I was asking. I could tell that he was like, "Oh, whoa. She's not just trying to sell me something, she's trying to understand where I'm at."
Yes, I had that exact kind of visual and even verbal response with my pitch this morning too. And it's there's so many salesmen, especially in the restaurant industry, that just walk into cold call. So number one, our approach makes us stand out different from everybody else, starkly different, a
Yeah.
white speck on a blackboard, right?
Mhm.
Um, but then the fact that we're not just there to sell, we're starting that relationship by just listening. It really does make a humongous difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's really cool. Okay, so my next question for you is, how did the prospecting process, this whole dating the restaurant owner concept that I touch on in the class, did that impact your confidence when you're actually requesting this pitch?
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel more in integrity when I approach things that way, and I recognize some of that's comfort for me, that I do also still need to work on just feeling good about cold pitching people to a certain degree. But I have been in business myself prior to marketing where I was getting cold pitched all the time and I turned them down. And, or I just didn't even pay attention to them. And I know that's not always the case and it takes persistence, but I prefer relational experiences. And so it certainly feels, like I said, more in integrity for me, because it allows me to go in and connect with someone and communicate with them, and appreciate their work,
Mhm.
That's the this is a big deal for them, just like it is for us to try to go out and start a business. They are doing the same thing with their restaurant, and so it allows me to sit and notice their efforts and be appreciate what they're doing within our community, and then feels more honest that way for me to come in and then say, "Can I help you?"
Yeah. So I know we haven't onboarded yet. We're just out there starting to get with restaurant owners and we are starting to pitch.
Yeah.
Have you gone through the material regarding onboarding yet to familiarize yourself?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable? Like you have, okay, I've got this plan in place. Do you feel comfortable like, okay, when I land this, I know what to do next? Or how are you feeling regarding that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I was just looking through that again earlier this week, because I have this pitch next week. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying, like with your checklists and stuff. I mean, that really makes a huge difference. And because I also know that, yeah, quite possibly I'll be sitting down next to them. I want to have something to reference because I know I'll be a little jittery,
Mm.
and that I looked very cohesive, and it looks, like it's a great guide to work with. I'm looking forward to that. The other piece that I really appreciated was, the like, here's what you need to do, because that it's just an easily overlooked aspect from both sides of the game, I would imagine, as the agency and as the owner, like they're expecting, we have, it's easy to have unspoken expectations. And so having that is, I think, a good asset as well.
Awesome. Well, Brandy, I'm going to ask you one more question. If you had to, you know, in, 20 to 30 seconds, had to have an opportunity when somebody else, another agency in a similar situation as you asked, is it worth it? Should I go ahead and invest and grow your agency with Boomerang Me? What would you say to them?
Absolutely. Yep. Hands down. Because even if you choose a different approach, um, you help to open up the just the process, I guess. Because when we start something new like this, it's so easy to, drink from the fire hose and to just have so many ideas and so many different approaches coming at you, that it can almost create paralysis, And I think your course really goes step by step by step through so many of the fundamental pieces that it helps to make it, again, accessible. Kind of like I said in the beginning, it just helps to calm the maybe any nerves about getting started, and gives very functional, pragmatic processes for moving into that. And so I think it's a great course. I really do. And my hat's off to you. You did a nice job.
Thank you very, very much. Well, um, thank you. I mean, I can't thank you quite enough.